Hi, welcome to the Revelation. Bum, bum, bum. We're talking about the book of Revelation, not Revelations. We're talking about the revelation that was given to John on the island of Patmos. And it was a glimpse into how things wrap up at the end of all human history as we know it. In this particular episode, we're in Revelation chapter 13, and I want to read you verses 16 through 18. It says this: It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. So they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man. That number is 666. Yes, this is that episode. We are talking about the mark of the beast. You've heard about it. If you've hung out in church at all, you've heard about this mark that is going to happen during those last days, during those revelation days, where to eat, to buy goods, you're going to have to take the mark. There have been movies made about this. They will terrify you. I remember as a kid seeing a movie that just scared me to death because the people that wouldn't take the mark were being executed outside the church. And I had nightmares over this thing, even though I was already a follower of Jesus. But it didn't matter. It just scared me to think that that could happen. If you go back in history, ruling powers have always had an identifying insignia. Nazi Germany had the swastika. The Soviet Union has a hammer and sickle. The ideal itself goes back early in the history. Babylon was symbolized by a lion with eagle's wings. The empire of the Medes and the Persians were represented by a bear rising up with 3 ribs between its teeth. The Greek word for mark referred to an insignia that contained an emperor's name, effigy, or the year of his reign. That mark was necessary for trade and was required on all documents to test the validity. So this concept of a mark of the beast was not something that John just saw and just kind of had to grab onto and randomly figure out a way to put it into words that we could understand it. Having a mark that represented the leader or the royalty or the ruler of the day was very commonplace, much more commonplace then than we understand it today. The Antichrist mark will serve the same purposes. Those without the mark will be deemed traitors. They will be boycotted by the commercial system that the Antichrist will control. Everyone who doesn't wear the mark of the beast will be denied the ability to buy or sell. We just read that. They'll be forced to choose whether to suffer the temporary wrath of the Antichrist or receive the eternal favor of God. In other words, they will make a choice, and that choice will be whether they're going to live or whether they're going to die. Over the years, I've heard people say, well, I don't want to accidentally take the mark. And I want to do my best to calm your fears at that point. I don't think that this is designed to be a sneaky thing that will sneak up on you. I think to make a choice, to choose what side you want to follow, to choose who you want to follow, is a very clear choice. You're not going to go to sleep one night and wake up in the morning with the mark on your hand because you went to sleep and you didn't have a chance to make the choice. That's not fair. It's not fair. I can hear you already thinking that. I promise you, God is just, and He will take care of business appropriately. Volumes have been filled, by the way, with fanciful ideas of what the mark is going to look like. Some think it will be like a credit card or a computer chip or a barcode or either the name of specific people. These days, the idea that the government would require the world's population to carry a mark of some sort on their person, physically attached to their person, is not hard to imagine, though, considering the day and age and some of the advances in technology that we have in the world today. So is any of that going to be the mark of the beast? I have no idea. I'm not sure. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I don't know exactly how it's going to flesh out. But although no one can say exactly what the mark of the beast will look like, The number 6, obviously, is an important number in it, though, because it is the number of man. 666 is man's number, tripled. 6 is also one short of the perfect number 7. And so the mark of the beast represents the ultimate opposite of God. And so whatever it takes, that mark is somehow going to be taken, configured, and applied during the tribulation. It is evidence of accepting the Antichrist and rejecting Jesus. And so the mark is a choice. If you're living in the tribulation and you decide, I'm not going to take the mark, associated with that whole thought process, that whole conversation, that whole road that you have to go down to make that decision is this idea or concept that you become aware of why you shouldn't take that mark. And so if you're worrying about it, and you're worrying about you don't want to get the mark, you don't want to have to take the mark, you don't want to accidentally get the mark, that's not going to happen. It'll be a choice. And the choice will be clear, and the choice is yours. And when you make that choice, then you have chosen a side. And that is the side that you've chosen to be counted on. And it will be the sign of Satan and the Antichrist. Or you'll choose to reject the mark and live for God. And so that is the famous mark of the beast. Also, remember that this is something that happens in the end times. But Satan and the Antichrist don't have the power or the ability to bring history, human history, to a close. That power belongs to Jesus, and only he can do that. And so, hold fast to the truth that you know comes from God. Don't sweat the mark, and don't take the mark. That would be dumb. But that's the passage that deals with the mark of the beast. I look forward to joining you next time as we continue our look at the Revelation and what we can discover.